Defense is hard in College Football 25, but in this video I'm going to break down everything you need to know to start getting more stops in College Football 25. These are all things I've learned in my years of playing Madden and College Football 25 at the highest levels. I've won tens of thousands of dollars, and everything here is literally stuff that I've used to get more stops and win more games. So if that's something you want to do, let's get into the video. Now let's take a look at the defense right here. This is a normal defensive shell, right? We have the high safety, two outside corners, but watch what happens if I motion my outside wide receiver across. These corners like flip with each other, and if I motion back, notice they're going to flip again. Sometimes this can cause misalignments and blown coverages, and I'm going to show you exactly why this happens. On the defense side of the ball, let's click the right stick in. I actually just called the wrong part. I did the wrong thing right there. Let's click the right stick in right here. This is going to bring up our coach adjustments. So one of the biggest coach adjustments that you want to make sure you have on is going to be your auto flip defensive play call. Now, this is all general rules, but auto flip defensive play call you want on. This means that the CPU will flip your defensive play to best match the offensive formation. Essentially, what they're saying here is that if you have an offensive formation that is strong to the left, your defense will be strong to the left. If you have an offensive formation that's strong to the right, your defense will automatically be strong to the right. If you have auto flip off, it will not always be like that, so you could have some misalignment. So auto flip you want on. Cornerback matchups, remember when we just motioned and our corners were like flipping and stuff? I don't want that. So we almost always leave cornerback matchups to balanced, actually, because that's going to avoid any of the weird alignment stuff, the weird like flipping of people motion. Leave it at balanced, and I promise you it's not going to make that big of an impact from a negative standpoint. Like, you don't really care. We really don't care too much about quarterback matchups. Really doesn't make a big difference. Defensive motion response, we're going to leave this at default. This actually, I've had some like placebo stuff happen with this, so we're going to just leave it at default. I don't actually think this makes that big of a difference. Option defense read key, we want this 100% to be on conservative. This will focus on the QB on the option, and it leaves the dive open. So what that means, what that actually looks like, is something like this right here. I'm calling a read option on offense, and you see this read key, little R icon over that right defensive end's head. If we snap this ball, he is going to stand, so he will always play the quarterback. Usually on read options, the big hitters are usually when you pull the ball with the QB, right? You kind of get that little outside angle. Here, we're going to make them hand that ball off, where we're going to have our user and the rest of our defense in the middle of the field where we can actually play this run. So you want to make sure you have that on conservative. Now, pitch key, let's click the right stick in again right here. Our option defense pitch key, we're going to want this to be on aggressive. Now, this is a little change from the beginning of the year. It was bugged before. Now it's not as bugged. Aggressive pitch key is going to focus on the pitch on the option, and it's going to leave the QB open. So this is for like speed options. Let me show you what this actually looks like. Let's go into options. Do we have a speed option we can go to? Beautiful. Let's go here. And then watch this P icon. This is the pitch key. When we snap this ball, he's going to go play the pitch option, and he's going to play it a little bit better. Now, right there, he actually played it kind of crappy. That's probably because that he's a defensive end who's the pitch key. We'll see if we get a few looks at this. Yeah, so right there we go. He plays it a lot better right there. So sometimes this thing can be a little bit buggy, but I do want him doing that because I want them to keep it with their quarterback. Usually on speed options, the toss or the pitch is going to be like the big play. And I want them to keep it with their quarterback because that's when we can hit him and get him worn and torn, right? Because they have to keep it. Boom. Ideally, on your edges on defense, you have faster players here as well, right? Guys who can really play those pitches. Now, if we click the right stick in again, go back to our coach adjustments. We want strip ball balanced. I would really never put this on aggressive because you get face mask penalties. So we'll go balanced here. Tackling. Some people put this on aggressive. It's a higher chance of hit sticks, but I haven't really seen enough of a difference here. So I leave this at balanced too. And the zone drops, right now we're going to leave this at default, but we'll talk about these a little bit later. Just keep in mind that zone drops essentially let you set how deep your zones will play. So for example, if I put my hooks to 30, all of my hook curls are going to play 30 yards back. So what that would look like is something like, let's go here. Let's watch these two yellow zones. These are hook curls. We snap this ball. They're going to backpedal about 30 yards, and then they'll finally sit. Right? And you saw one guy actually turn his hips and went back. The other guy just straight backpedaled. I highly recommend that you copy these coaching adjustments. Feel free to pause this, screenshot it, write it down in your notes app, whatever it is. We'll take this off 30. Because these are massive to making sure your defense is set up for success. And if at any point in this video you get any sort of value, consider doing me a massive favor and hitting the subscribe button. We're almost at 100,000 1,000 subscribers. It's a massive goal of mine, and by doing so, you tell YouTube that you enjoyed the video, and it gets this video pushed to more and more college football players just like yourself. So we're going to talk about what formation you should choose here in a second, but first, I want to talk to you about your base defense and what I think you should use as your base defense. So out of any formation here, I want to go into it and then find a cover 3 play, okay? So cover 3 match could do it. We got cover 3 Buzz Mabel, that could do it. We're going to have cover 3 Sky, and pretty much every defensive formation will have different cover 3s, right? You see right here, cover 3 Sky, and a 3-4 odd. Now, when we're in our play call screen, not the formation screen, but the play call screen, we're going to use the right stick, flick it to the right a few times, and we're going to get that covered shell being cover 2. That's going to be really, really important for when we call cover 3 match right here. Notice we're going to have 2 high safeties. This is a cover 2 shell, but we're showing cover, or we're actually in cover 3. So it's a little bit of a disguise, okay? I love doing that. Now, for all of these cover 3s, no matter which one you come out in, only adjustment I care a ton about making every single time is pressing Y or triangle down on the right stick. That's going to turn our flat zones into hard flats, and it takes away any kind of match coverage. So this is now officially going to be what's called drop zone. And drop zone is literally just, you see where these different zone play arts are? Your defender is going to play there. So right here, notice our 2 flat defenders. We have 2 seam flats. Instead, what we want to do, press Y or triangle down on the right stick. That's going to shade our coverage underneath. That's going to get hard flats out there. This is really good for defending the middle of the field and for defending underneath. Now, something that I'm doing here as well out of our base defense is usering. This is massive. So many people don't user, and you need to be usering a linebacker who's in one of these yellow zones. I don't care which one you choose, right? It could be Jacobs right here, or it could be Bassa. He has a star underneath. He's probably a dog. Has to be one of these 2 guys. And what we're trying to do is user our area of the field. So look, we have this route coming across. We have this route. Boom. Notice how my user in this case is actually able to take away a few different routes right here, right? So we're here. Boom, we're underneath. Now we're going over top. Makes it very hard for him to throw. And our user is able to almost like match and carry people across, right? Another example of this would be something like here. Boom, I'm underneath. Now I'm going over top to that deep in route that's over top, right? Notice the other thing with this, a big reason why I like it so much is because we get really, really good pass rush, okay? Notice how the offense isn't having much time right here, okay? So here's another example. Boom. Snap it. Right, working. I'm going up to that deep post with my user. This is going to do a really good job stopping flat, stopping drag, stopping a lot of things that a lot of people try throwing, right? If we do this, and I want to snap throw a flat route, you really can't, right? It's a very tough throw. This, in my opinion, is what your base defense should be. Doesn't mean you call it every single down, but it does mean this is a large amount of your play calls. I've used this as a base for years and years and years, and it has beaten some of the best players in the world. It's beaten some of the worst players in the world, and it's won me a lot of games. So a lot of people, when they give advice on this, I think they're entirely wrong, and I'm going to tell you what I've used as, in my experience of playing the game at a very high level for a long time now. You do not need to match personnel necessarily when you are coming out in a defensive formation. Instead, what I strongly advocate on defense is to be comfortable in what you're running rather than always trying to match personnel. So an example of that would be, let's say, we want to run our defense from dime rush. Okay, this is a very light set. This is a 4-1-6 defense. 4 defensive linemen, 1 backer, and then 6 defensive backs. All right, we'll go here, and this is against goal line. Okay, so this is obviously 2 very different defenses. If we are comfortable in our defense and we know how to stop the run, we could stop a run like this. And you see right there, wow, he's able to cut it all the way back. That was pretty good run defense still. We call it again. Go here. Boom. This is pretty good run defense. I have no issues with that being the result against it. Now, again, are there specific situations where we might have a run defense, like a goal line specific defense? Sure. But the rule of thumb here is that I'd rather us be comfortable in our defense rather than switching to a bunch of different formations all the time, trying to match personnel. A big thing that people are always like thinking about is that if my opponent is in, something like 5 wide, for example, you could stop 5 wide from 4-4 split the same way you could stop goal line from dime. Okay, you could. Doesn't mean you could just call it and it's whatever. You have to know the setups for it. So what do I look for in a defensive formation, though, that I want to be comfortable in? Well, the first thing is always going to be some sort of blitz or pressure, okay? You could find loop blitzes, which would be something like if we were to show, We'll see if we can actually get a good one right here. Let's go Sam Mike 3 press out of the nickel 3-3 mint. By the way, this is a 4-2-5 defensive playbook. This would be an example because we could, let's say we drag this guy in. And I'm just kind of like improving this, by the way. And, you know, we might get a little bit of a loop around the right edge right here. Yeah, you see this guy comes free. So this would be like a, oh, interesting. Like this might be a decent blitz that now the offense has to be worried about. This is a great way to be able to get some stops, by the way, having pressure. So there's a loop blitz right there. Or you'll see a very popular defense in double mug, which is what I call an overload blitz. Now, an overload blitz is essentially where you're just putting more guys on the line of scrimmage than they have blockers. Really good example of that is, let's count. Basic math. I failed my last 2 math classes a long time ago, but I can do some basic arithmetic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the number of blitzers we have. They have 5 offensive linemen, meaning that even if I use this guy right here, right, I'm going to fake blitz, and that is going to allow somebody to come running free because of pure numbers, okay? That's not a glitch blitz. It's just basic math, right? Boom, we're here, right? And that time, he actually ends up, like, getting, well, wow, this dude's a dog. But you kind of see the idea right there, right? So you can really dumb the game down like that. And that's how I would first decide what I want my base defense to be based out of, is something that has decent pressure. And then even like something like this, I might try to get in real tight just to help distract the offensive line. And we're able to get that sack off the backside if we can actually bring him down. Jeez. So with that, that's one of the first things I'm always trying to do. And then we're trying to learn how to stop the run from the formation. So right now, my new base defense is actually my new base formation is 3-3 mint. I'm going to use that right stick and call that coverage shell cover 2. And from here, I might call cover 3 match. That's what we talked about before, right? That's our base defensive shell or base defensive coverage. Press wide triangle down the right stick. And now we have something that looks like this. And I would base a lot of my defenses from this. So we'd have a blitz from this. We'd have coverage from this. We'd have run defense from this. And notice my user right there getting busy in the open field, going up and down, trying to lurk in the middle for any kind of crossing routes. Let's go here again. Boom. Same idea right there. This is, wow, this quarterback has platinum extender, or I think it's anchored maybe. I think it's anchored in this game. Like really, really good. Really, really basic way of choosing a formation. Focus on being comfortable in something. So I talked about this idea earlier of shading your coverage underneath, right? Remember when I said on defense, we're going to press Y or triangle and then press down on the right stick. That's going to turn these purple zones into hard flats, right? So it looks like this right here. What actually does that do? Let me show you what this is. And we're going to expand upon the idea of shading our coverage and some of the other adjustments we can make. So this is a stock coverage right here. Now, the nice thing here is that you kind of like, and not even the nice thing, but like here, your coverage can play, it could be matched depending on your play call. It could be a few different things. And notice they're going to give up that drag really easily, okay? If I just do the basic shade underneath, which is press Y or triangle, you see it brings up this coverage adjustment screen. And then I go down on the right stick, which will go underneath. Mind you, I could go over top if I wanted to, but we'll go underneath. Notice this drag route is no longer open. And the thing to keep in mind here is that it's not just this flat zone that changes, right? Notice how this flat zone becomes a hard flat instead of that purple. Our yellow zone right here, where is he? Right here, Thomas, he looks exactly the same. It looks like the shade underneath did nothing to him. But watch Thomas on this play. We throw the drag. He's the one who's almost right there. So is the hard flat, but he's down. As opposed to, if I were to do nothing right here, look where Thomas is. Thomas is nowhere near the ball carrier, right? And we can even like prove this point a little bit more, where I'm going to shade underneath and blitz my hard flat. So we just have this yellow zone from Thomas, okay? And watch how well he plays this drag over the middle. He does a really good job. Whereas if I simply left the coverage totally stock and I blitzed the outside backer and then I did this, wide open, massive difference. So while with flat zones, shading your coverage will change the type of flat zone they're in, hook curls, it will change how they play, even though it does not actually change the zone itself from a visual standpoint, okay? That's a massive deal. So what if we decided to shade instead, press Y or triangle, shade over top? Well, this will do one of two things. One, it'll turn any kind of hard flat into a cloud flat. So let me show you. Let's put him in a hard flat. Press Y or triangle, shade over top. Now he's in a cloud, okay? This will also turn any kind of purple zone into a curl flat. So if I had the seam flat on the field. It's a purple zone. Press Y or triangle, go up on the right stick. He's now in a curl flat, okay? Something to keep in mind is that when you shade underneath, though, everything will become a hard flat. So we can kind of prove this right here with something like this. Okay, we have a bunch of flat zones on the field, but not a single hard flat. If we press Y or triangle down the right stick, everything is now a hard flat. Basic idea here is that a hard flat will play around 0 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. A cloud flat will play around 15 to 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. And some of the other zones will do things slightly different. My favorites are hard flats. I don't really like curl flats. And I like soft squats a lot because they can do some matching stuff too. That is a video for a different day though, okay? Something I do want to point out here with shading is that you'll see there's inside and outside shades. This makes a very minimal impact on zone coverage. It has a little impact, but like not enough to where I even want to talk about it. A lot of it's placebo, and a lot of it is like very dependent on very specific route combinations. And it's just weird. So I would like, it's just a weird feature. So I don't really talk too much about that. Now, we're pressing Y or triangle to bring up our coverage adjustments. But if we were actually to go left on the D-pad, you're going to bring up our defensive line adjustments. Here, we can use the right stick to slant in different directions. I prefer to slant inside, which will actually get all of our pass rush angles, as you see right here, going inside. If I was to slant outside, you'll see all of our pass rush angles are going outside unless there's somebody already attacking that area, which is why you see Neil right here still going inside. Okay, just something to keep in mind. You could go left or right with this. I typically will slant inside. With the left stick, though, we can shift. Here, we'll spread. Here, we'll pinch. Here, we'll shift one way or the other. You get the idea, right? Certain blitzes require very specific setups with this. Also, this can be useful for if you're trying to stop the run up the middle. You might pinch and slant inside, right, to help stop that inside zone maybe, or, you know, the dive that's coming. Now, we've talked about Y or triangle is going to be coverage. Left on the D-pad is going to be defensive line. Well, guess what? Right on the D-pad, that's going to be linebackers. Kind of same idea here with linebackers. Right stick, we can blitz all of them. We can zone all of them. We can blitz only one or the other. And then left stick, we're going to be able to change how they are aligned. We can shift them in different directions. There we go. It does take a second to be able to shift them twice. So I do recommend just doing it once. And, you know, you can do that. Each formation will be a little bit different in how those shifts affect it. They're not always exactly the same. Sometimes it's a massive difference. Like right here, you see when we pinch, kind of like it's a decent difference. Sometimes it's very, very minimal. You can just kind of change based on the defensive formation. Other thing I want to talk about, the other good quick adjustment here is that we can bring up a cool screen by tapping right bumper or R1. Boom. This will be our shift entire defense with the left stick. So here we can pinch everybody, or we could spread everybody. And then with the right stick, we can actually guess play. I recommend not guessing the play. Okay. Only thing I'll really do here from the right bumper is double tap double tap it. So right here, we go press it once, then we press it again. That's going to get the QB contains out here, which are this little pass rush angle. This does a really good job of helping keep the quarterback in the pocket. Unless that guy gets double teamed, like you see right there, then you could break it. A big thing with QB contains is that you need leverage. So this guy right here, Neil, if we want him to contain, he's not going to contain if he's all the way in here, right? You want to give him leverage. So now he's going to do a better job of containing, as you see right there. Very, very basic stuff that we can do. Also, Y or triangle. I kind of overlooked this earlier. Y or triangle, we can use the left stick to press, left stick to back off, and to show different coverage shells potentially. Yeah, as you see kind of right here, we're able to change our coverage shells. Just something to keep in mind, left stick's almost always going to be shifting. Right stick can be shading or different types of slants or blitzes. So I've kind of thrown out this word usering a lot. What is usering? And also, did you know there's a little bit more to usering this year than any other year before? So usering is the idea that on defense, we have a user defender. Okay, this is the guy who we're controlling. In this case, it's my boy Otis. I like the name Otis. Otis is my user defender. His assignment is right here in this little yellow zone, but he's a user. So what that means is that I can actually like move around and go different areas based on what I'm seeing on the field. An example of that would be, let's say they're running a route combo like this, okay? Where they're attacking the right side, okay? If my assignment is this area right here, should I just sit right here the entire time? No. I want to go to where there's traffic. I want to go to where there's action happening, right? So while my assignment could be in one area, because I'm a user, I have a brain and I can actually go, oh, boom, I'm actually going to carry this guy for a second, right? You might be saying, Civil, that corner route's getting wide open. Well, sometimes a route might be getting open that we actually can't use her, right? He's just too far away. It's too long of a distance to run to, something like that, right? Because we're here. Oh, that corner route's getting open. I can try to get there, but it's just tough. This is where a brand new feature comes into play called Switch Stick. Switch Stick. This right here is insane because let me just not get a pass rush for 2 seconds. Because what we're able to do is with the right stick when we're in coverage, we can actually switch on to different defenders and go make plays. Notice, look where my user is right now. It's number 3 on this left side. How did that happen? Well, how did we just get sacked with one-man pass rush? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's show you guys this. My user's Otis. You see me in the middle of the field. I'm actually going to use the right stick and flick it up. Now, you see me on this guy. And if I flick it to the right, I'm going to be on this guy. Now, what's important to remember with switch stick is that your player must be in a coverage assignment to use it, and it must be on a pass play to use it, okay? The switch stick is incredibly directional, so it's based on where you flick the right stick to, okay? If you're trying to get to a guy above you, but you flick it a little bit to the right, well, you're going to go a little bit to the right and above, so you might not go to the right guy. A really good use case for the switch stick would be this right here. Where remember that corner route we kept throwing and it was kind of open in that top right? Well, in this case, I can actually do something like this where I can come down and actually bait that corner route. This is one of the best ways to get interceptions. Now, this can be risky, obviously. But guess what? That's football, baby. Everything you do, there's a risk. A lot of people, especially when you're playing online against other human beings, they will anticipate something's open when it looks open, obviously. And with the switch stick, we can take it away. Another example of this would be, you know, I'm using Otis right here. Oh, I see corner route. Well, guess what? I just switched onto that hook curl that was on the other side, and I was able to go play that corner route. This is one of the best things you could do on the defense side of the ball, and I highly recommend you take some time and really try to use it. The best way to start using the switch stick is every single play, force yourself to do it just one time. That will build the habit, and it'll build you starting to become more comfortable and confident in it, where you're able to start taking it away. Once you get that first switch stick pick, I promise you, there's nothing like it. So I want to talk about zone drops with you guys here for a second. I actually think this is a very important part of the game that is very kind of misunderstood. And honestly, it kind of changes patch to patch, even game to game. You have to always kind of be a little bit in the know with this. So let's click the right stick in here and let's scroll down. Now, our zone drop flats are going to apply to soft squats, apply to cloud flats, and hard flats. Our zone drop curl flats will actually apply to curl flats, quarter flats, and seam flats. And then the hooks will be any yellow hook curl zone, okay? First of all, I want to just put these all at default for a second and then come out in Tampa 2 and simply show you what would happen if I ran a basic Tampa 2, which has cloud flats on it against this route combo on the left, which is a streak and a corner route. Everybody can agree that my corner route is open right here, right? And if I was to do a shade underneath, that would get a hard flat out there. And guess what? If we have a hard flat out there, corner route's gonna be very open. We can all agree on this, correct? I hope so. If you can't, please get off the video. I don't know what else to say. So now let's go to our coaching adjustments and let's change our flats to 30 yards, okay? So let me come back out in the same formation on offense. Let's change our flats to 30 and let's go to that Tampa 2. Now what's interesting here is that in the basic Tampa 2, we have a cloud flat on the outside. Remember, he's set to 30 yards now. If we snap this ball, notice he's gonna backpedal and he actually doesn't do a great job of backpedaling, does he? If I put him in a hard flat by shading underneath, watch him this time. This time, he'll actually turn his hips and run. For some reason, I don't know why, hard flats actually do a better job of getting back compared to cloud flats. I don't know why this is the case, but it is. So what I like to do, if I'm ever trying to defend like a corner route, for example, is to get a hard flat on the field and put him at 30 yards, right? Do exactly what we're doing right here. And this can help defend against corner routes. This would be very useful in a situation that's like, my right there was a little bit weird. This would be very useful in a situation like 3rd and 20. And maybe your opponent keeps on throwing corner routes, something like that. But like, there's a massive difference here as opposed to if I just show that basic cloud flat. Now, what does a soft squat do instead? I actually don't know. Let's see. I think a soft squat would be like a cloud. And he played that really well. He played it a little bit different than a hard flat would. But the soft squat did a good job right there, which was Honestly, interesting. I don't know why these guys play differently, because they really should be taking that zone drop should override them, and you'd think they'd have the same logic from that, but they don't. The other thing I really like to do here with zone drops, and mind you, I actually don't set zone drops that often, is play around with my hooks. I really like 5-yard hooks at times, or 15. A 15-yard hook would be really nice if you're playing against an opponent who kept attacking, let's say maybe like with the tight end post right here. So like something like this, where they keep on kind of attacking the deep middle, and that hook curl can do a good job of just bracketing that route and making them wait longer for it, okay? So that's kind of where I'd use him. He can also be a nice, addition for if someone is, you kind of see it right there. Like if someone's trying to push the ball downfield fast, well, then I'd probably put my hook curls to 20 yards, right? Especially end of half, end of game, because they don't need to be playing underneath as much. If you got value from this, you can check out my website, civil.gg, where we go deep dive entire schemes on offense and defense to get better at college football 25. There's over 1,000 active members right now, and 96% of our members say that they've won more games since joining. So what we do there, it actually works. You can go to link top description, use code CIVIL30, get a cool 30% off right now. I'll see you over there.